right, what is up? We are talking all about CGC, everything going down with Disney lately. There is so much to discuss. Jonathan Majors trial, everything that you can possibly think of. We are going to be discussing it tonight. And tonight we are going to have Mark Spector Comics on, and joining us pretty soon should also be Mike from the Spider's Lair. But right now, Mark, how's it going, buddy? Oh, can't hear you. It's all static. So I'll let him try to figure that out. And so basically, not too long ago, still static. Can't hear you at all. Not too long ago, Black Market Comics posted. Actually, it was a little over a month ago now. Black Market Comics posted that they were going to be stopping all shipments to CGC. They were not dealing with them anymore. If you know Black Market Comics, he is a cleaner, a presser, as well as a seller, and just an overall great, amazing guy. The fact that he was not willing to ship out to CGC anymore was just absolutely crazy. And I wanted to kind of see what that was all about. So I messaged him and just like look through the comments, and basically everything that you could possibly think of that caused him to kind of turn away from CGC and be like, you know what, this is not what I want to be doing anymore. This is not the company I want to be dealing with. As a seller, when we all know in the comic book industry that CGC takes a premium, like an absolute premium. There are multiple times where CGC will take hundreds of dollars more on big books than a CBCS. And I mean, honestly, I have CBCS versions of some books that I also have a CGC version of. And I would much rather try to get rid of the CGC version simply because it's going to sell for more. And why that is, I'm not quite sure. I got into the comic book collecting after CGC became a massive thing, but pretty much it's all that I can determine is that CGC has been around longer. So therefore, they're taking the premium. Now, is that fair? I don't think it is. Is it true? Again, I don't think it is. Time and time again, I have seen CGC books come back with issues. I'm looking up on my wall right now. There's an Amazing Spider-Man 93 that was graded a 9.8 and has horrible Newton rings right around where your eye goes, which is between Ben Reilly and Spider-Man fighting. Then looking at every single CBCS book that I have never had a Newton ring. I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm just saying that when I look at CGC, I look at CBCS, there are significant differences in the casing, in the care for the books. It's an absolute obvious thing. So with all that being said, I definitely want to make sure that everyone's kind of tuned in and watching, because this is going to be some really fun conversation. I did let Mark Spector, or not Mark Spector, I did let Black Market Comics know that we were going live about this tonight, just to see if I could get any more information about it. But basically, after all this time, it's continual that CGC is not where it needs to be. It's massive. Let's see if Mark's ready. It sounds completely robotic. I don't know if it's your headphones or... It's so weird. So yeah, it's still sounding weird. It's crazy to me, because when it comes down to it, I want to say that I'd rather send my books to where they're going to get a premium someday down the line. But at the same time, I want to know, one, that the book is the grade that it says it is, which I honestly, again, believe that they're doing much more over at CGC or much more over at CBCS that is allowing for really great quality control. Now, the one thing that I have seen multiple times, and I don't deal with them, I let my local comic shop deal with them for me. But again, I've heard that their customer service isn't the best. So take that with a grain of salt. I mean, honestly, when it comes down to it, do you need the customer service if the quality that's coming at you is better? I don't know. CGC has to have good customer service because they have to deal with all of the issues. They have a 10-year-old forum, 10 years old, that's still active to this day almost daily simply because they have so many different people coming back at them and talking about the horrible bad quality. Talking about CGC and why people have been turning away from them.
Okay, I was still figuring how to say
Talking about
it.
CGC and why people have been turning away from them.
All right.
Okay, so
any
There we
luck on
are.
my side now?
All right.
Yep, I hear you, Mark.
Any luck on my side now? All right.
Here we are. Yes.
Yep, I hear you, Mark.
Okay, so it's just a minor
You guys hear
adjustment.
me?
Yep, we hear you.
Yeah.
But Spursler,
Okay.
you're now giving
All right,
feedback.
good,
I'm
good.
hearing
Yeah, I was
echoes.
having a little trouble here.
Spursler, you're now giving feedback. I'm hearing echoes.
Yeah, my system all messed up today. I just changed the angle, messed everything up.
All right.
So we're talking about CGCs, huh? Why people are turning away from them. But I know a lot of fees went up and stuff, but I don't know. I think like me and Mark were talking about this for like over a year, and this all happened back in Acetate Gate. Remember we were talking about this, and we were saying that this was going to have a really bad effect on the future of CGCs because this is the company you're supposed to trust, and if you can't trust the certified guarantee company, who can you trust? And that's the issue that I'm seeing now with why CGCs now are becoming like almost taboo in a way. Plus they raised their rates like really. I understand like everything goes up, inflation, but the way that they raised their rates was ridiculous. Without no warning or anything. It's like and now you see that they do all these exclusives that I don't know. I liked how they started out, but I see like CGC is evolving into more than just a certifying old comics. It's becoming more. I mean, what it's becoming, it's like almost an exclusive certified house of goods. Like you could just get exclusively now through CGC. See, they're making things that are exclusive to CGC too. And I think that's an issue. Another issue is when they're bringing up books that are specifically launched for cons, and then they're not going to be they're specifically to be launched at cons to have them signed and witnessed by CGC to be submitted. And that's another problem I see as well. It's almost like as if you're going for any books that are like a little rare, which I think that's overhyped by the way, but they do pull in the money. But any books that you go that are a little rare, like and you tried to go to see it's insanity. It's a whole. I mean, you guys buy comics, you know what I'm talking about. It's a whole freaking. I don't want to call it a black market, more like a gray market. Like you don't know what you're dealing with these people, and I see people get books all the time, and I just think that CGC right now, it's almost like as if their main mission was to get all these old comics up, certify them, and now it just seems like they're more into the mission of pretty much becoming an exclusive brand. I mean, that's what it seems like to me. I mean, your thoughts, guys? I don't know.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, well, going back to the whole price thing, their prices haven't gone up too much in comparative to the competition. I know CBCS and CGC, at least for moderns, are fairly close. You're talking about maybe $1 to price point when it comes to grading, without doing any advanced tiers and discounts and stuff like that across the board. I know they did go up a couple of times I think it was last year or the year prior. They went up in price, but that inflation and stuff like that. But I do know that there is a lot of I don't know if you want to call it shenanigans that happen at cons when it comes to
Yeah.
witness signatures. Since CGC doesn't actually go to shows anymore, at least not near the shows near me. I haven't seen CGC present
I
at a
saw
show
them at
since.
Comic Con, but I was New York Comic Con, so I can imagine that for the real big shows
Yeah,
like San Diego, New
Yeah.
York, Boston, like they'll be
yeah.
at the big cons. But I think for the smaller places, you're not going to find them. No, that's for sure.
I thought the last time I did see them was at Terrificon, and that was maybe in 2022. That was the last time I've seen CGC at a show locally. But
I've
yeah,
never seen them at a local show.
at a big show, I've seen them at Rhode Island Comic Con, but that was years ago. And
Right.
CBCS is there every single year. They were there this past November. Actually, I just reported that that'll be my next video coming out. Is actually I submitted my previous signature verified books to CBCS to get them reholdered for the new labels, the new labels that they just came
Right.
out with, and I got them back within 10 days. And I was actually really impressed by their turnaround time for their reholders. But they were there, they were present, they were at the show. The only other way to submit books through CGC was through Captured Collectibles, which is one of their major facilitators that they
Right.
provide. And I've dealt with them; they're great guys. But I do know there's some shenanigans that do happen behind the scenes with them. With books that you submit through them that wasn't actually like, if you have, for example, say like a Venom 3, the book by Donnie Cates and Stegman. I've heard stories where a person would submit a book to them. They may already have Ryan Stegman already signed on there from a previous, time, and they know that Stegman and Donnie Cates is going to be at the show. So they'll just slide in the Ryan Stegman signature and then just get it signed by Donnie Cates. And hey, there you go. You just got a dual signed book without actually getting a dual signed that day. And that's just one account. I know there's probably many, many, many stories, that happens as well. But that's like, I guess, one of the things you can get away with if you're a facilitator. And you're friends with somebody that's a facilitator that sends directly to CGC or CBCS.
Interesting.
One of the things that really turned me off to CGC, which I sent to Mike, and I think you might have saw it in our chat, was Bry's Comics. And the fact that he purposefully had books destroyed and that CGC was doing the destroying, supposedly, of all of these exclusive covers so that way it could be this forced rarity.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I'm perfectly okay with someone destroying the books. If you want to have forced rarity, you know what? It is what it is. I'm not going to sit there and hound you. But you can't be the company that's grading the books and
that's
also
the problem I have too. Right, the company
destroying
that destroys them. Right, it's like being a doctor, but then you're letting your patient die of a heart attack, and that's what I find to be the funniest thing. I do remember there was a book from this guy I follow. His name is Swaggerhouse. He has a good channel, and he did something that I like. I like what he did because he has a book too. I forget exactly the title of it offhand, but what he did was he did the story like what we were talking about. But what he did was he took his book. So to understand why this is a thing, so I'm gonna explain to you guys because as I was getting ready to print comics, of course I went to Marvel. Okay, Marvel will print comics for you, by the way. However, you have to do no less than 3,500 print run. So if you want to make like 1,000 print run, you either got to do what I do, which is to self-publish, or you have to get the 3,500 from them and then destroy them. Now, this was a big thing because they were sending them to CGC. Why the hell would you do that?
Yeah.
You don't need to do that. Swaggerhouse put a whole camera set up. He put it on his short. And he goes, this is all my books. I'm going to make it rare. This is why I'm doing this. Explain everything. Burn them all with a freaking blowtorch. I thought it was great. What a great way to do it. And that's your books. Do what you want. I can't get mad, guy. It's his comic. It's not like a good, what are you doing, man? No, it's your books. Do whatever the hell you want,
Yeah.
I understand, The problem I have is that CGC should be involved in doing both sides of this, the grading and destruction of books. It doesn't make sense. Which one are you?
Yeah,
Are
are
you
you
the alpha or the
preserving or are you
omega?
destroying?
Yeah.
I personally don't have a problem with CGC or CBCS, whatever grading company, destroying the books as long as there's proof that it actually happened.
Yeah.
Yes.
For that specific book. There's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scene with with the companies that we never know. Even just with the basics on like how they come upon the grades that they get the
Yeah.
grades for.
Mhm.
It's very vague. I know other companies like, for example, EGS, that it's a very simple, streamlined, grading process that Tony Fett grades. He's the primary grader. He's the owner of the company, and he does the grading. Obviously, you can't do that with a company like CGC. There's obviously thousands of books that get submitted there, but
Yeah.
at least have some transparency on the process of the grading,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
you don't ever hear anybody saying the whole process, how they come up with the grade, if
Mhm.
if there's like a 9.2, 9.4, or 9.8 between three different graders, and they've said it. I've seen in previews before, like in videos where the Brittany, which is one of the I think she's the head of grading by CGC, the Signature Series program is I think her name is Brittany, and they've said flat out 3 graders have to agree upon a grade before they assign a grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what happens when you don't have somebody that agrees upon the grade? Does it go to a fourth like your supervisor? Like there's nothing. There's a lot of gray areas.
Yeah.
That happens, or is there not 3 people that agree upon a grade and they just assign that one person a grade and then that's the grade? Screw it. If they had a
Yeah.
bad
Right.
night and you get a 5.0 on a book that's probably a 7.5, then what happens? Or vice versa. The person who had a good night, it's a 5.0, you get a 7.5.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. See, and that's
So
my thing is how, like what you just said. It's not so much the modern books because a lot of them I can see most of them are getting graded 9.6s, 9.8s, and then you basically just
sure.
has to have a consensus. If again, there's 3 people actually grading one book,
Yeah.
but when you get down to the nitty gritty of these old classic books that are in that 3 to 7 range, where you
I
could
got one.
say, hey, this is a 3, but you could also like someone else could argue, no, it's a 7 because it's from this era. It's this. This is just this is a defect that was in the printing, and so you could come back and be like, oh well, this I'm grading it a 6. I'm grading it a 3.5. I'm grading it a 5. What is the final grade that it ends up getting?
This is a perfect example. So I just picked this book up uh, this weekend at at an auction house near me. 2.0. There's obviously a lot of wear and tear. There's a lot of staining. There's a lot of issues with this book, as you can see. This is clearly a very, very, very low grade book. But look, how many people actually look at this book before they submit the grade?
Yeah.
What are, so like I said, going back to, if there's 3 graders looking at this book before it gets finalized at a 2.0, what were those 3 graders' notes? What did those 3 graders assign the book? And how did they come up with the 2.0? That's my question. And they'll never they'll never provide you that answer. They'll just provide you what this is a 2.0, and you may get 2 graders' notes for a 2.0. That's it.
Yeah, you should. I mean, if it's 3 graders, you should have everyone's notes, and then just
but they don't
get that.
provide that.
Yeah.
They don't provide that. Obviously, you could tell I'm not a professional grader, but there's extensive damage to this book at a 2.0, and they should specify every single thing that they've looked at,
Right,
and
like
included. And
like I can look at
let's
it.
say it's
Multiple
spine split,
tips, like some
multiple
paper
creases,
yeah.
paper missing,
Cover
detached
rib,
centerfold, whatever the case may be. It shouldn't be just 3 notes. Just and if I go up looking up the graded notes, there might be only 4 notes for the whole thing, and there's clearly probably a lot more than that to going out with this book.
Yeah,
that's the only transparency that I would like to see. That probably will never happen.
Almost like those how it's made videos on the Discovery Channel.
Sure.
Like from we unpack it here. This is where the book gets unpacked. This is where the book goes through its first step of us logging it and grading it. And I'm like that's what I want to see. I've never even seen the inside of a CGC grader's like warehouse.
You never will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
You never will.
Right? Because it's a freaking mess. Trust me.
Probably
It's
is.
a mess. They have
then
like,
I
go
heard that during the Todd McFarlane signing, they were
Mhm.
losing books left and right, or
Oh.
misplacing
really?
them. Oh yeah,
Hey, it happens. It happens.
and I get that it happens, but like you're trusting like collectors' pride and joys. If you want to send a book for a signing, that is a book that you have deemed worthy of putting that person's John Hancock on for the rest of your life and that book's life. And you want to make sure
man.
that is preserved in the best way possible, and that like they were losing, I guess, big ass books like it was nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's bad, man.
I just lost a book recently from CGC. So I thought I was never getting
damn.
this book back because I sent a book. So this was going in January. It'll be 2 years now. So
Mhm.
I went back when I was living out in Colorado. I ended up flying out for a week down to Phoenix to visit a friend and just explore the area. And they ended up having a comic shop that just had a grand opening. So they ended up inviting 4 artists to come there, sign some books, and that shop was a facilitator to CGC. So one of the artists that was there was John Jang. So I ended up, buying one of their exclusives that they had there. It was Nice House on the Lake. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that book.
Mhm.
It's a recent book, and he had one of his exclusives there. So I bought a book from there, got him to sign the book,
Yeah, John's
gave
a
them
good
the
guy.
books. Yeah, he's awesome. Great guy. I met him a couple of times. A very, very cool guy.
Cool.
And
Sounds
sent them the book. Obviously, the shop took care of it. They sent it to CGC. Never got the book back. Never got the book back. And so I contacted these guys,
Okay.
6, 7, 8 months later. Now we're almost talking. Now it's December now. Next month would have been 2 years. And CGC actually contacted me back in August saying that, we were in touch with this shop in Phoenix. And there's been a bunch of complaints that books never got back to owners and so forth. So just tell us what book you sent. We'll take care of it and so forth. So I got the book back last month, and the book they sent me was not the book I got. So it was the right book. It was still Nice House on the Lake, #1.
Yeah.
Completely different cover, completely different exclusive. Wasn't even signed. So I was like, what the hell happened?
You see,
and then I emailed her back. And they were like, well, contact the shop. Contact the shop. The shop doesn't have the book.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have had the book last year.
Yep.
We're talking almost 2 years now. So I was like, okay.
I'll put it to you like this, guys. Okay. I have one copy of Amazing Spider-Man 300 that I bought. Like, it was like I never opened this thing at all. I bought it new when I was a kid. I bought it. I bought like 8 of them, actually. I traded about 3 of them. I still got 3 of them around. And this one that I have is the most perfect one. The others were like 9.2. The other one was a 6.0. I found a barcode one, so I was just picking them up as I was finding them when I was younger. But I tell you, what you're telling me right now is exactly what I always freaking feared, and I knew that I should trust my gut. I never sent that book in because what you're saying is true. Okay, I'm gonna get back the same book. It's not the same book. It's not the same book. It's not the book I bought when I was young and experiencing that joy of it's nutty. I won't send these. There's certain books I just not gonna send in based off sentimental value for me alone, and that one I will never send in. My ultimate Fallout 4, I'll never send in. These books that are like, I'm not messing with CGC. I don't trust them. I would legitimately drive down there and make sure my stuff's there. And I'll make sure they see me. And I'll make sure I let them know. Don't try to give me back no BS that's not mine. Because I'm going to tell you, I want what I gave you. And it's not because those books are that's not replaceable to me. That made Spider-Man 300. I will never get a CGC. It's gonna stay in the vault forever because for me, I don't give a damn about CGC at that point. When it came to something that, like I said, for my personal collection, for my PC, these things are sentimental more than like I can understand people flip books, they sell them, they buy them. Yeah. I'm at the point of collecting at this point, so I'm not even looking to bake any kind of like. Eventually, I'm gonna sell just because I'm going to be upgraded, and I'm just gonna bring my collection up to where I feel it would be, then start parlaying off some stuff. But I'm really in this for the collecting aspect of it. I don't mind sending things to CGC for my PC and putting it away, but I will be damned if I'm gonna give them an Amazing Spider-Man 300 that's just gonna disappear out of nowhere, out of thin air, that I have literally preserved since 1988 when the book came out. I think it was 88. Yeah, it should have been 88 when that book came out. And I preserved that thing since then. I'm not gonna ever part with that. And I gotta actually in the next couple of months, I'm gonna be doing new shows. So just to let you guys know, I have boxes that I call the Pandora's boxes. You've seen those black tough boxes like they have the comics as well. I take those boxes and I put all my grails in there. Now I probably have about 12 of those boxes, and they're completely full. I think they hold 125 comics each one. So I lost my Ultimate Fallout somewhere in one of those boxes.
So when we go to Rob's house, we know to look for the black boxes, not the other ones.
Go for the black boxes.
It'll be sitting right next to the freaking Claymore mine and all my shotguns. Trust me, the layers packed. But yeah, I'm gonna be doing a show on it so I can find my collection. I have to go through everything to find this one book. So it's
one of the biggest things that I've heard is that when I was like doing all this research is that Ultimate Fallout 4, like you were saying, is one of the ones that has been the most controversially graded books.
Yeah, that's true.
In the past 10 years.
Yeah.
There are ones that have came back at 9.4s, 9.2s, 9s, 8s. Like, how is a brand new book? And you look at some of these and they look just as nice as some of the 9.6s and 9.8s. And
that book is tough. That book is tough to get a 9.8. And I'll tell you, that poly bag that it comes with, a lot of people keep them in the poly bag. And it's not easy to get those creases out, with especially if you've kept it in it that whole time. And I know a lot of people that still keep them in the poly bag and you should just take them out because that book is notorious for being tough.
Immediately when you see a bag like that, you know what's going to happen to it. So I got a couple that are still in the poly bag, but the way I packed them, I didn't have, you have to pack it tight. That's what I say for those. I made sure I packed all mine nice and tight so there's no space in between them. So I could pull them out my collection. Oh my God, that's another. I got to find those too because I have 4 of those, I believe. Yeah, 4 or 5. Yeah, that's another one I got to find. The red bag poly ones. Yeah. So I did pack those up back in the day. I never opened them. Is that which one is that? That's the Miles Morales Spider-Man #1? Not Ultimate Fallout. That's Miles Morales Spider-Man #1, right?
I think so.
The poly bag? I think that's what it is. Yeah, I never took it out the bag, but I did see Miles Morales Spider-Man #1, so I'm assuming, it must be what's in these bags, which I'm not ever taking those out the bag, and I'm not sending those to CGC. They're gonna stay right where they're at,
Are those near the Claymores or the shotguns?
No, they're definitely near the shotguns. I
just want to know what equipment I'm going to
need. Trust me.
Do I need the bomb suit or do I need the...
You're going to need I would tell you, you're going to need about a small little military to come because I got snipers everywhere. Yeah,
the top of his house looks like the White House.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. One of the other things that I saw, again, doing all this research, looking through everything that I could find about all of the CGC stuff that people have been talking about, even in the CGC groups, there's people now talking about why they went to CBCS and the moderators keep taking it down. And then someone said, I just inherited a collection from my grandfather and it has Amazing Spider-Man 1 in it. I know that it's not in the best shape, but it's definitely a 6 to 8. So of course, because obviously the grandfather
6 to 8, still nice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And comment after comment was, first of all, take this post down right now. because you don't want people knocking on your door about this. And second of
Yeah.
all, that's a book that I would go get graded, but you drive it down to Florida and you would sit there like in a police precinct, sitting next to each desk as you were getting interviewed until that book got encapsulated.
So
Oh no, I'll give
I've
you one
known,
better. I'm wearing a whole
yeah.
shoulder strap, sitting there like this, like I'm just sitting there with my gun twirling in my hand, just waiting to come on, let's go get it in there. Encapsulate it now. That's it.
So I've known people that do that. They'll fly to Florida, or they'll fly
Sarasota,
to
Florida,
Dallas,
yeah.
where CBCS is, and they'll go on the plane. They'll put it there. You book in a suitcase. They'll hand deliver it to them, and they'll do like a walkthrough service and get it graded, and they go back home.
Yeah.
Trust me, one day I plan to do
Yeah.
this eventually. I'm going to get all the books. Like I'm saying, I gotta go through my collection. I'm gonna take about 100 of them myself down there myself. I'm gonna document the whole thing. I'm gonna take a whole road trip, stop wherever. I'm gonna actually make a route that's gonna lead me to other comic shops on the way there that are like, for whatever state. I'm going up the East Coast, down the East Coast. So whatever states have whatever famous comic shops, I'm gonna make sure I put that within my route so I can also grab things on the way down. And I'm gonna document all that. But yeah, there's no way they're not getting this unless I'm giving it to them. And I'm going to make sure that those old cobblers know if you lose this book, don't worry about everything else. Don't lose my book. You don't want to lose your life. I thought threatening these old men. Start choking them.
Well,
Getting them ready to get my grades right.
20 pictures on each of the books that they're sending now because CGC is also sending back the wrong book.
Yeah.
Like, someone sent in a book that was completely perfect. It was 9.8 candidate and got back a 4. And he's like, how? Like, and the cover was literally ripped and torn. And he's like, this isn't the book I sent off. I sent off a newsstand and I got back a direct.
Oh, well, that's crazy.
Like, it was a completely different book.
I'd understand if they were both newsstand books and you got back a book that was probably an 8.0 and it came back a 4. It was like, well, maybe they dropped it by accident and they're like, oh,
exactly,
tough shit. What can you do? Blame it on the postman when it got to Sarasota. I don't know.
And that's another thing too. You're mailing in multi-million-dollar books in the mail. You trust the United States Postal Service. Shout out to you, United States Postal Service. You suck, and you know it. They suck. I don't care.
There's a lot of trust involved in sending a book off to CGC.
Listen, I remember I sent off these, right? I'll show you guys. Hold on. I sent off a bunch of spawns, right? Because I was thinking that these things were gonna pop. But I sent these off, right? These are the ones I sent off. And I was happy because I'm gonna be honest. When I got these back, I knew that there was I gave them 10. So I said 9 of these have about a 9.8 and one was a 9.6, and they all came back the right grade. So at least for me, I could honestly say they graded my stuff like good, but they sent me back a book that to this day I really can't explain when I called them because I got back a Venom Lethal Protector #1. I had a bunch of barcodes that I had saved. This is what I tell you guys when I said I'm afraid to send in my collection because I called them. I'm like, listen, I know Sandela Rosa is going to be there. And I have 10 barcodes that I bought when I was a teenager, and I need you guys to not screw this up. This is my barcodes, please. I need it to go to him directly. So they were like, yeah, sure, send them in. Whatever. I'm like an idiot. I do send them in, and I get them back. And I'm happy. Oh, my God, they actually gave them back to me. But what they gave me was something I wasn't expecting. I got a pedigree on top of submitting the books. And the pedigree was called the Big Apple pedigree. And I was like, so I called them because I was like, I know of the collection. From what I remember, the Big Apple pedigree was like from a collector. He was African American. In the 30s, 40s, 50s. He pretty much collected from the 30s to the 60s, and they said that from that collection, he's had the most, I guess, compiled golden and silver age books. The most essential ones in his collection, to the point that they labeled his whole collection the Big Apple collection. Well, apparently they were telling me because I don't know how the hell they know this. I told them I bought it at Walmart. I told him where I bought it. I said I bought it at Walmart in Jersey. This is the year I bought it. I have the receipt. I literally still have the receipt to every comic I ever bought. I'm a nut like that. Believe me, I save everything. I got papers everywhere. People are like, what are you doing with all these receipts? I was like, leave them alone. They go to comics. Sometimes I like to put them in the CGCs. But anyway, when I was getting ready to submit these books, and they gave me 10 of them back with the Big Apple pedigree, they told me the reason why they did that was because I have submitted things for them in the past, which they know my collection's big, and I explained to them. Like, sometimes you can actually, I talk to them on the phone, not often, but I did get to talk to them a couple of times, and I feel that's the best way to engage with them. They don't like talking a lot, but when you get them on the phone, they will engage with you. So I'm sitting there talking to them, explaining what, like, I want them to tell me how did I get this pedigree on there? It's a well from your region, from where you're at, how you've been submitting, and we already know from what you're telling us and what you're submitting that you're not buying your collection. This is stuff you collected. Yeah, this is actual things I collected. So I don't know. It qualified in their eyes to be part of this Big Apple collection. And the crazy thing about it is that I looked this up, and to this day, I can't find. Those are the only 10 that have the Big Apple pedigree on it. The Venom Leap Protector #1s. There's no, and I've been looking for years. So those are the only 10. So who knows what that will be worth? Let me just show you what it looks like real quick. I don't know if I can. This damn camera's too bright. Let me see.
I've always wanted a pedigree label. I don't even care what the book is. I just want one of those sitting up on my wall just as a conversation piece.
I did buy
this was my lowest grade one
yesterday. That was a pedigree book.
Okay.
Do you see that?
Oh yeah, that's cool.
You see Big Apple?
I see it. Nice. Yeah, right above the cereal. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So I got 10 of these back, right? And this one was a 9.0. I leave this one out, but I have 9 more of these sitting in the box. And apparently, from what I was told, when I was getting ready to, like, I just wanted to put feelers out there to see what something like that would sell for. And I won't say what collector hit me up, but it was a big warehouse collector, and they pretty much told me that is not, you can't sell that as one because it's a group, so it's an entire set. You can never, like, it's not something that you're gonna break up. You gotta leave it together because this is a historical set. Apparently, I didn't know it's a piece of history. In other words, so this right here is not just a CGC. This right here is a historical. It's added to this Big Apple collection, and that's a piece of history. And I have 10 of them, so I got the only 10 that I know of so far. And I don't know if they're ever gonna do that again, because even when they explained to me why they did it, it still didn't really make sense to me. But I was like, okay, well, if you guys saying this, okay, whatever. But I will say this much, like, and what you were saying, Dave, because it's true. Comics have been disappearing all the time. But up here too, up in the north, and I know this for a fact. Yeah. That's where you have a lot of comics that you'll see. You ever, like, this is why you see the barcodes. Like, you see these things, these barcodes on a lot of old comics that are supposed to be destroyed. A lot of them are supposed to have been ripped and torn. But, there was a lot of guys back in the day that would just pretty much, hey, we destroyed it. Yeah. Take that comic, put it in a warehouse. And these things were moving. I won't say the network, but I can tell you, at least in the tri-state area, and I want to say New York, the tri-state area, you have many, many comic warehouses who've been doing this forever, before we were all born. Trust me, this is something that's been, from when I got the story when I was younger and I was introduced to certain people, was that this was all done because these were newspaper people who knew that these things were going to be valuable, and they were grabbing some of the best ones off the rack, they were selling them, and then sometimes they were cutting them up and getting credit back. But most of them weren't doing that. They were just like taking older books and cutting them up and giving them those books back and keeping the ones that they said they destroyed. So this is why, like, in the market that you see right now, all these comics that you see, these rare things that are popping up, this is why they pop up, because it's like the Diamond District. They control the Diamond District. It's what this is. It's the Diamond District of comics. They control the distribution and flow of all the old comics, and they know what to put out and whatnot. And I know, because trust me, I get a lot of this stuff. And if you ever watch my shows, you'll see I'm gonna start doing them again. But you'll see some of the stuff I picked up. I picked up about 3,000 comics I haven't even won through yet. And there, I know in these bundles, I'm gonna have a lot of stuff that's just gonna be hidden, because this is what they do. They'll hide stuff in these bundles. And people like me that have been dealing with them for years, I get exclusive picks. So I'll see, like, they won't let me see what's in the middle, but I'll get to look at both sides and okay, I want that pack, and I just order them in bulk and they just send them to me. So, I've been doing that for years. And that was only because when I was a kid, I got lucky. One of my first jobs was working in a local comic shop, and I loved it. I was just not even getting paid. I was just taking comics, like, give me Spider-Man, give me Daredevil, give me X-Men. I was just like a kid in the comic book store, literally working, chilling with an old guy. This old guy like knew everything about comics. He was telling me about how all comics are gonna be worth in the future, what's gonna happen with them, like, so it was a very interesting hobby that I had since I was young, and I was in the right place and at the right time most of the times when it came to comics. Even with the Ultimate Fallout, that was like pretty much. I do have a 9.8 because I know how to pick them good, and I can tell you I'm kind of dumb because I didn't know back then how to press comics, and there was a lot. And there's a reason why it's hard to find a 9.8 in the Ultimate Fallout is because a lot of people put their damn grubby hands all over it. You understand? These youngsters don't collect like we did back in the day. So they're just grabbing these books and grabbing them and messing them up for the next person. When I grab a stack, I'm very gentle with it. I sit there, I take my time. I'll pull out a chair. I go to my local comic shop, I'm like, where's my chair? Give me my little seat. And I'm pulling everything out, and I'm taking my time, and I'm very gentle with everything. Because you know what the old man does? He puts things in the middle and in the back. And none of these youngsters, and I find all of them, every one of them. And they're like, where'd you get that from? I said, in the pile. You guys don't dig. Like, you got to go through things, You got to take your sweet ass time. When I found that Ultimate Fallout, I did take one more. But it was like a 9.90. But that was like the second best shape one. But if I want to know how to press, then I would have took them all. But yeah, they were in horrific shape. And I remember just looking at it thinking, I didn't know who. I heard about a kid called Kid Arachnid, so I was thinking that's who this was. And I was thinking, I wonder. I said, this may be a freaking grill. I remember that day I went to comic shop. Tell this to my fiance. I said, this is going to be a grill, I think. So I put it in the bag, just threw it away. Yeah. Next thing I know, it is a freaking grill. So you never know, like with certain books. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not crazy about Miles Morales Spider-Man. He's all right, because we know who the real Spider-Man is. Shout out to all you people who hate Peter Parker trying to replace
Ben Riley.
I really
Ben Riley.
That's right, but even Ben Riley's more real than Miles Morales. That's it. We can have this argument. I'd rather say, if I had to pick, Ben Riley's more realer. But isn't Ben Riley really Peter Parker at the end? Who the hell knows? I forgot how the whole damn Clone War ends. But it doesn't matter.
I don't know.
All I got to say is that Miles Morales is Miles Morales, period. And I like Miles Morales, but it's just how they're positioning him. You guys got to understand something. Okay, it's one thing you want to make a comic, but this guy doesn't sell comics the way that Spider-Man sells comics. He just doesn't. It's not the fault of the character. It's just that you're trying to make a business where you're putting your two characters in competition. There's no competition.
Yeah,
you have Spider-Man, and you have everyone else. Everyone else,
exactly. Because Spider-Man is the flagship for Marvel. So it's anything outside of Spider-Man is.
I mean, without
second,
Spider-Man,
third tier.
There would be no Marvel.
Yeah.
Without, because look, we gotta understand, we did have Fantastic Four, we did have Avengers coming up, but I'm gonna tell you, when it all started really kicking in is when Spider-Man first came out. And when Spider-Man came out, that's when Marvel was officially taken off to the moon. So you cannot take your flagship intellectual property that was responsible for
it's just
pretty much forming
like
what Marvel is today and try to just replace. It's okay to add on. Look, I don't have a problem with the multiverse. I think it's just an excuse to reset every story anyway. So I'm going to try to stay away from that in my stories. But I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with different variants of Spider people, whatever the hell. But like with that Madam Web, it's going to bomb. It's going to bomb. I'm going to go watch it for Valentine's Day with my boo so we can sit there and I can just laugh at how horrible it's going to be. I think I'm just going to film, like when you went to go see the Marvels, you were the only one that showed up that night. That was the premiere night, right?
I was the only person there. It was the only person there. It was absolutely wild. I've never in my life been with theater on opening night that I was the person there. Never happened.
Did you think that it was going to be that bad?
Did anyone else show up?
I was the only person there.
The whole time.
Nobody showed up.
Not even a couple of teenagers making out in the back. No one else.
Nothing. It's not even a worthy make-out movie.
No.
It was, privacy.
That's how you know
nobody shows up.
Yeah.
So,
we were
it
was a struggle.
We
It
were
was a
talking
struggle
about that
because
on the
You were sleeping a couple of times, right? About 3
yeah,
nods. What did you give it,
I
like a
brought
3 nods?
yeah
yeah, the
I brought
sleepometer.
two beers with me, and I couldn't even finish the beers. I woke up, I was like, "What the hell happened?"
Did you
I
stay
was
there
like,
and
You
"Damn."
slept
finish them real quick?
alone.
Yeah, I
So
must
we
have
were
nodded
talking
off like
about the
3 or 4
whole
times.
COVID, all the movies that came out this year, like even
Yeah.
Barbie only breaking 1 billion after hundreds of thousands of people went to go see that movie more than one time.
Oh, it wasn't. It was one. It was like well over 1.3 billion. It was a lot of money.
Yeah, but like
It was a lot of money.
putting
Yeah,
that into
yeah.
perspective of like some of these other movies that people have like raved about the same way they raved about Barbie, I thought that was going to hit at least 1.5.
Oh,
I was
I didn't
well
think it was going to hit
expecting
1 billion. I didn't think it was going to hit 1 billion, to be honest.
one. I didn't think it was until it hit 1 billion. Then I was like, okay, let's see how much this train can go, and
Yeah.
not to mention like all of the people around the world who want to see this because either let's shit on America or we love Barbie because we had it too. They're just dolls in general, in all honesty. So, with all that being said, honestly, I
Well,
strongly believe that most of these movies, the top of the top of the top, that those top 10 movies, all the way from Barbie down to Ant-Man Quantumania, would have been 200 million more, 100 more, 100 to 150 more worldwide, and about 50 million more domestic if they came out prior to COVID.
Wait, yeah, prior to COVID, sure.
maybe.
Yeah,
But you know
I
what
wouldn't
though?
doubt
We
that.
can't really
But
use this. Yeah. Look,
I think we're
I'm
well
gonna put it
past
to like the.
COVID now.
Okay, go.
You know, I think we're well past COVID now, and the whole like hesitancy with going out to restaurants, the
Yeah,
mall, sporting events, what have you. I don't think we can really use that excuse anymore as why we're not going to movies.
I don't
You
think it's that
know,
we're not going to movies because
I
we're
mean,
afraid. I think it's that we're not going to movies because of streaming. Because we got so used to like just saying watching this movie on
oh
my
yeah, for
big
sure.
screen
And that,
TV is just as good as going to the theater. Why am I going to bother to spend the extra $30 to $50 to go bring my family plus all the cost of concessions when I can sit at home a month later and still see it?
but that's the I
yep.
think the
I
argument there
literally.
is you can't see the movie right away afterwards. You
I
probably have to
agree.
wait probably maybe a few months depending on the movie. I know some movies you can watch directly when it does come out. Not all. You're talking about like a small percentage, but you probably have to wait probably at least a month and a half to 2 months before you can actually watch it streaming. Not bootleg. I mean like legit.
Yeah.
You know, um, but I don't know. Yeah, streaming does definitely have an impact today than it did five years ago, for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Same
And
with
this is the
bootleg though.
problem that they knew this was going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bootleg has gone up so much.
Yep.
Yeah, you can stream whatever the hell you want, really, if you really want to.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I
Definitely.
You
personally,
can bootleg TV shows.
I'm
Like, are
in
you
the
for real?
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm in the industry, so I do get pretty much, I get links all the time. So like, and not
Mm-hmm.
bootleg shit either. It's like it's the legit stuff, but you gotta be an employee to get all that. So I don't really use that a lot unless it's a movie I wanted to see. Like they actually sent they sent me a link to the Marvels, and I deleted it. I deleted it. I had a chance to watch it. I could have watched it. I deleted it. I could have watched it on my 65-inch 4K TV in my living room at 4K. Trust me. And I was like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm good. I heard enough about. It's so bad. I won't even watch it for free at my house from a official link. Like they just sent it to me
So
today because I can like sometimes okay, so when I'm calling in to work sometimes, right? It's just weird. Depends who I'm calling. I got 2 contacts I make. So I just let them know I'm available for it, blah blah blah. And sometimes they just send me back with these weird links. And sometimes I don't know what they are, but I trust the source. So I click on them and it's like, okay, go here and then boom. I can watch this movie. I'm like, oh, what movie is this? And I can scroll down and show you. I'm like, oh, okay. But they sent me like that today. Okay, no problem. And I just got a message, and it was the Marvels because I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but all the Marvels are moving out of the movie theaters. Check it because I've been checking today. This is what I heard this morning. This is why they gave me the link, and that link signifies that it's ready for digital. Because if it wasn't, I wouldn't have had the link. But I didn't think I should have saved it to show you guys, just to show you a link. But I didn't think about it. I was just like, oh, gross. I just deleted it. Like, that's it. I don't want it back. Don't send it to me ever again.
Oh, so you're not going to watch it at all.
In the movie theaters.
You're not going to watch it at all, then.
That's a hard thing. I mean, if it ever lands on Netflix, maybe, but I doubt that'll happen. I mean, Netflix I get only because I got my cell phone tied to it, so I get like Netflix free. So I really don't like. I do have some Amazon. I do watch some stuff, but I'm not into all this. Like, it's different when you're actually out there and you're making it. It's like, I don't know. It's weird to say. Like, there's some shows I've been on that I've actually been on where I've seen actors and I'm like, oh damn, I liked you in Narcos. Yeah, things like that. Like, I've seen people and I got to meet them in other projects. But I just feel like in this experience that I've been doing the last couple of years, it's been diluted my my need to see these things, because you hear whispers here, you hear whispers there, and they like, I already know what the hell's gonna happen. Even with the Marvels, I was hearing about the direction it was going in. I already knew like pretty much the plot, and the main villain was a softie. Just like I also was telling you guys when we were talking about we were talking about Barbie earlier. This is why I told you guys. Remember, I was the one who said it, that Barbie was going to make over $1 billion. And the reason why I said this was because when I saw the trailers and I saw the promotional stuff that they did for it, they did exactly what it's supposed to do. What do? They catered to the audience that they were targeted. See, when you target an audience that is brought up around Barbie, right?
Yep.
You not like, and I don't want to hear about wokeness, LGBTQ. Nothing was targeted. Everything was there. Yep. Barbie's always been like this. Barbie's always been flamboyant. She's always been independent, and she always had her boy toy Ken.
And you put Margot Robbie in as Barbie.
Yeah, and she's hot, by the way. So
there's 500 million right there.
Movies. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you have this combination, and you make a movie that's directly targeting that specific audience. Guess what's gonna happen? That translates into money. See, I've had a lot of arguments with feminists lately about the Marvels, and they want to debate with me. So I tell these feminists, well, did you go see the Marvels? Well, I didn't go see it yet. So what are you talking about? More men showed up to the Marvels. 65% of men showed up to the Marvels. Where do you get these studies from? Yeah, from everywhere. When you buy a ticket, they'll see who's going in, and they can tell. I mean, they don't have to ask you for your permission. They can stand in the movie theater and say, there's 1, 2, 3, 5 people here who are male and 2 people here who are female. I said, this is how all the surveys are done. They go into an audience and they count the audience and they see male to female ratio, and that's what they record. So it's not our fault that more men showed up to the Marvels. Like, we could joke about it, but at least we show up. Where were you? But they did show up for? They showed up for Barbie. And why? Because unlike the Marvels, Barbie was made for these females. It was made for them. The Marvels is not made for the modern female. They have the delusion that there's this huge female audience of comic collectors that really there's not. I mean, look, I know
very little
personally that are badasses, right? But they are small and few and far in between. You are literally doing what Mattel and He-Man did to kill its brand. Because I don't know if you guys know this story, so I'll give you a quick history lesson. Ever wonder what the hell happened to Masters of the Universe? What the hell happened, right? I'll tell you what happened. They started changing it. Went to She-Ra. They tried to eliminate He-Man, and they replaced him with a chick and made her lame and gay, and that's what put them out of business. And this is all historical fact. So I see this. No, She-Ra? That's a She-Man. What the hell knows, right?
She-Man.
She's going to be woman at arms.
Does that now make it She-Man or Man-She?
Yeah, right?
Man-She.
Man-She.
It's like fucking Big Bang Theory, Man-Bat.
Yeah. So they took a freaking toy that was targeted for males and then really took away their base of where they were making money and targeted
I'll be right back.
females that never showed up to buy it. You got it, man. They never showed up to buy this. And then you're like, well, what the hell's going on? Like, why would you do this? And that's what pretty much caused that company to, collapse. That's the first real world event that I know of the example of go woke, go broke. And that was before woke was a thing. That's why I like that story. I'm gonna do a whole story on that. And I encourage you to read the story and check it out because you'll find it to be quite interesting and relevant to what we're talking about. Yeah. Because, like I said, in today's environment, this is what's going on. Yeah. I don't mind having female characters. I'm fine with that. But what I'm not okay. So look, another thing that I want to talk about too, because I've heard about this new Star Wars that's coming out, and now we're gonna see how this Star Wars. Yeah, I know. Don't worry, we vibing, and we're gonna see how this one does. And guess what? I'm gonna be vibing with you right here too. Without Luke Skywalker, without Chewbacca. Oh wait, they may have Chewbacca in there, maybe. Without Han Solo, without Princess Leia, without any of the big bads, without Emperor Palpatine. Let's see how this whole disaster. Listen, I'm telling you, if they pull the trigger on this, that this is going to be the worst disaster that Lucasfilm has ever faced. Not any of the disasters they're facing now. No. Has ever faced. Yeah. Because now you're putting the Jedi Order into her hands. Why couldn't you just have Luke train Rey, make her his not just apprentice, but his heir apparent? You're gonna take over the Jedi Council when I go. And no. They just send him to the planet. She has one lesson from him. She's like, fucking, I'm girl boss. Runs away, goes back, and just defeats everything. Okay. So I can't wait to see this because this is going to make such great content. I'm going to cover this in such splendor. And I love how they keep saying that the fandom are the reason why people don't show up to the movies. Like, wow, you give us that much power. Imagine that. We have the power to make you change your mind. Yeah, okay. No. Maybe it just could be that what you're making absolutely sucks. Just a thought. Just because you like it doesn't mean it's going to be good, Hey, look, I'm a person that can take criticism, so I ain't gonna cry about it, If I wrote this comic, everybody said it was good. They gave me their ups and downs about it, and I was fine with that, I didn't say, well, you guys are. Oh, I didn't tell you, Chris. Well, you know what, Chris? Because you said I rushed something. Well, you know what? Well, I'm gonna call you phobic now. You're a toxic fan, like whatever. I'm not gonna do it to you. Like this is what they do. Like
I got called a gatekeeper on Instagram because I said. Nobody wants this movie. Here's what I want. I don't want you to finish the Rey movie. I don't want you to finish the Rey script. I don't want you to put it into production. And here's why. I'm not saying that I wouldn't go see it if you make it. I would be interested to see what you would do with it. And I'd be curious because I'm a Star Wars fan. I love Star Wars. I'm going to start working on a Star Wars wall after the holidays. But the fact that you're telling me that you are so strapped for content that you have to take one character that you introduced that 90% of people ripped on the entire time that she was brought up, and that her first movie only made money because of nostalgia. That's not gatekeeping. That's me telling you that as a Star Wars fan and as Star Wars fans, we want Old Republic. We want a Clone Wars movie, like a live action Clone Wars movie. We want something different. The reason that it was so successful for them to do a prequel to episode 4 was because it was something they had never done before. There was not a single Jedi in that movie. And it landed like no other. It is still on my top. It is still the top Star Wars movie for me. I will go back and rewatch Rogue One any day of the week because it is still up there as the best Star Wars movie for me.
I was going to tell you that right, and I was going to make a little list of things I actually have that I would tell the audience that they should just watch and not waste your time with everything else. Yeah. So, That's the best movie they had coming out in years. And
Yep.
it's such a great story. And it ties in so well to everything. And that's it. Every other movie after that just goes off the rails. I mean, but I will say this much. Mandalorian, season 1, season 2, especially the nostalgia bait at the end. I won't say what it is if you guys didn't
Yep.
watch it, but you know what happens at the end. Now
Yep.
tell me you didn't pop for that like we all did. Of course
Oh,
we
for
did.
sure.
And that was the whole point. But now, if you got into season 3, which is why I said The Mandalorian, only season 1 and season 2. You've been warned if you go on to season 3. You have been warned. So if they would have just ended it in season 1 and season 2 like that,
Yep.
Disney could have had a hit forever, because by not bringing it back up, you're not going to screw it up. But nope, they had to have one more season to screw it up. Kind of like The Witcher. Same thing. This is what happens when you stop listening to the fandom and you start listening to yourselves. Listen, we are entertainers. We're here to entertain people, not to entertain ourselves, not to push our ideology into what we want. No, it's entertainment. I'm not, when I write my comic, I'm not self-asserting myself in there. I mean, I don't think I look like Einstein. You know, this is not me at all. So I'm not self-asserting. And I'm not saying that's a good thing or bad thing. But what I'm saying is that when you're using that as your basis to build a foundation, and your messaging and your virtue signaling, instead of worrying about quality, like Bob Iger would say, oh, we got to get back to quality. Yeah, Bob Iger, I'm pretty sure I heard you say this about 7 to 8 times now. Get out of here with your BS. Why are you telling me, Mike, I can pull up, I'm going to just do it. I'm going to make it short and pull up every time he said that and put it on one short. There's about 7 times he said that. Shut up. You don't mean it. This is why Disney is doing bad. If you meant it, you would have not had this whole year of disasters. You know, the year that you come back to save Disney and you actually put Disney in the toilet, and then you try to blame other people. Because let me tell you something. Bob Chapek was calling out Disney where all that stuff was going on about the parental rights bills right in Florida. But you know that was Iger behind the scenes telling them, you better say that. You better go support this. You better go support this now. And then what happens? They got slammed with the most funniest thing. Like, when you have something good, people, you know that you could just lose it like that. Or maybe you forgot you could. Maybe you should just shh. They lost all that tax. Okay, so you guys understand. It's not just about taxes. Okay. I was going to work there. And when I was told about the job, I was legitimately impressed, because I'm like, so everything I just heard you guys tell me from security in this place, it almost sounds like we're the police. You know what they told me? Yeah, we are. Because this is our own state. And we have our own economy. And we don't pay taxes. And we have a commonwealth. And we rotate money. And we rotate passes. And we rotate benefits to our members, to our corporates, to our CEOs, to our VPs. And this is how it goes. And everything is paid off like that. I was like, wow. I didn't take the job. Obviously, I never went to Florida. But I interviewed for that, and I remember I was like, whoa. I actually wind up doing something better. I'm actually on the production side of it, which is better than being in the damn park, trust me. But yeah, it's just crazy. Like, when you
better than
hear
being
that,
in Florida.
and they tell you this, you know, and so it was pretty much its own freaking government, its own state, its own everything, right? They had a board of directors, they had a commonwealth. It's crazy, and then now it's all gone. All of it's gone. They completely stripped Disney of that tax freaking benefit. All they had to do is just stay out of the government. Listen, no matter how you feel, Disney, no matter how you feel about it, either way, you're entertainment. Just entertain.
You're a business.
I say
shut
this.
your mouth. Yep.
Look, I'm an entertainer, right? But I'm going to put it like this. I'm not going to say stupid stuff that's going to degrade or jeopardize my company. I'll keep my mouth shut. I know how to speak in public. I've done this my whole life. You got to know what to say and don't volunteer too much information. And when I say this to creatives, I say this to creators all the time, especially if you're an artist, if you're anything. Listen to me very carefully. Don't give your opinions about nothing. Do not give your opinions about your what you feel about government, what you feel about your politics, what you feel about listen, no one, people will care what you say to use it against you, because when you're propped up on top, the whole point of staying on top is to not piss anyone off. And I'm not saying you got to watch everything you say. Just know that whatever you're going to say will be scrutinized to the fullest of the extent. and then understand what you have at that point will be either you're going to be able to defend yourself or stand your ground on what you say. And me, I stand my ground on everything I say, because I don't ever say anything that I have to retract. You know, I'm very sensitive in it. Like, I don't know if like this got nothing to really do with comics, but it made me think of a story about this little boy. I don't know if you ever heard about it in the news, but this little boy was at a Chiefs game and he was wearing like a traditional head garb, and it captured one side of his face. He had like black paint on one face on one side, and they said that he was a racist kid, but they didn't show the whole side of the kid's face. He had two sides. He had a red side and the black side, signifying the entire garb. Oh, and then what made it even funnier, the Chiefs. Well, what made it even funnier was that the kid's actually Native American, and his grandfather sits on one of the tribes as a chief. I started dying laughing. And that's my point of that, is that you cannot take perception and something like that. You can't just automatically jump the gun. This is what happens in entertainment. They're hearing about a fortune that's coming. You know that my generation is supposed to be dying, and the generation before them, which is like the boomers. So I gotta explain to you guys something so you understand. The boomers ain't freaking dying quick as you think.
No.
Because these people are strong as hell. Trust me, my mother's a boomer. That lady had quadruple bypass surgery, smoked cigarettes her whole damn life. I'm not saying it like I'm proud. I'm mad. This is what she did. 76. That lady went in there and she's still living. She's still living. She's still alive. As long as you got science and technology, these boomers that you're waiting to pass on their money, they're still going to be living. And if they're going to, I say on a time schedule, realistically, 5 to 10 more years. So everybody jumped the line. This ESG crap was set up because, now you're going to have a bunch of people who have no idea or no concept of money being left all this money with their weird ideology. Like, I don't say they're right or wrong. I just say for me and myself, it's a little weird. That's all, But this is what you're targeting. But it's too soon to target that. And I understand you want to target a demographic, but the demographic that you're trying to target does not value the material that we did when we were growing up the way that we do. And that's where you guys are screwing up. Trust me.
So
I know my audience. I'm trying to do the best I can with my comics and stuff, and I try to keep in contact and such. I'm like that.
I want to end on this note tonight because I think this is a perfect note to end on, and then we'll talk more about Jonathan Majors next week after more of his case comes back.
I think we should let because I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. So Force Awakens, like as you were just saying, like everyone showed up. $2 billion it made, a little over $2 billion worldwide.
Yes.
And if this doesn't signify a flop,
new kid on the block.
If this doesn't signify a flop, Rogue One made $1 billion on a $200 million budget. Last Jedi,
and that's how you want to make
should have made
under $200 million.
Yep, should have made $2 billion. Again, because obviously, if you have $2 billion coming in the door for this nostalgia factor, you should then have, hey, we're bringing back Mark Hamill. He's going to be the main focus of this next movie. $1.3 billion. Then obviously he dies off. $1 billion for the last movie. If that doesn't signify a flop,
now you see,
then I don't know what does. Right. Because if you're thinking about it, I was just looking this up. The trilogy overall made $4.475 billion. The sequel trilogy alone. On a $1.163 billion budget, which means with marketing, they probably spent closer to $2 billion to make all those movies.
Right.
And they only made $2.4 billion in ticket sales above the marketing and production costs. $2 billion
which if you
came
go
out
into
of
today's
3
numbers,
that all made $1 billion or more. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah. And you want to know what that's about? I'm going to tell you who showed up. Not the people to see Rey, the people to see Luke. And if you don't believe that, wait till you see when no one shows up. And I mean no one. No Star Wars fans, no cameos, no nothing. Trust me, go back to our history. You'll see that everything I predicted was correct. So I'm telling you right now, we're not going to see more than 250 million worldwide for that movie when it drops. It's going to cost $700 million with marketing and budget to make this movie. She's already demanding $300 million. Trust me, she will get it too. Hey, I don't know why people are on the destructive path, but she must got some piss. No, she wants some. Yeah, she wants 300 million for
as her
production.
contract.
They say they wanted to give her 175, and she's like, no, we're gonna do this. I want 300 million. So we're already starting out with a $300 million like budget, like you said, but with marketing and everything. People don't understand. Okay, so the way marketing works is whatever your movie is, multiply that by a factor of 2, and that's your marketing. So if the movie's costed $300 million to make, with marketing, it's going to be about 550 to 600 million total. So now, in order for you to start turning a profit, you have to make $600,000 back before you start seeing a profit.
And here's your budget.
And good
nothing
luck
ever
with
stays
within
budget.
Yeah. No, and that's the point. She's already
my dad does contracting. Budget. He knows that nothing ever stays in budget. He is literally the guy who keeps the budgets and is I can't think of what his job title is. The guy who basically looks at all of the numbers and says, this is our budget for this project. We need to stay in this amount. And then people will come to him and be like, hey, so much money we got left over. And he goes, we were like $1 million over 5 months ago. Like we have no more money.
That's one thing that's notorious about Disney, because and then we can get the hell out of here. I was working on a movie with them, and I'm telling you, man, they were going over budget by like about $8 million to 10. It was a small project, but still $8 to $10 million over budget for your movie that was only going to cost you $5 million. It's freaking hilarious. But hey, that's Disney, and this is how people are. When the money comes, people come with their hands out. You know, it's an open trough. You got to eat while you can. And this is why it feels happening with Disney and all of entertainment. But don't worry, I'll save you guys because I'll be making anime soon. My book 2 is going to be done by January. Don't worry, man. I'm trying. Just give me some time. You know, I'm only one man. I can only make but so much come out of me at once.
Have a good night, Mike. But that was fun,
Chris. And if you want to talk about lead majors next week, yeah, you too. Want to talk about lead majors next week? I'm down because there's going to be a lot more stuff.
I think I'm trying to get one of the artists for the What If series on next week. So I'm trying to get one of the What If series artists next week, and then we'll definitely talk Jonathan Majors after that. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you soon.